Thank you so much for choosing to listen to Building Better Businesses with Catalyst Consulting. I'm Kristen Dees, the founder of Catalyst Consulting, a business consulting agency that is passionate about helping small businesses thrive. The goal of this podcast is to connect entrepreneurs with experts in a variety of industries that support small business owners in order to provide you with helpful tips, resources, and some entrepreneurship inspiration. Welcome to this episode of Building Better Businesses with Catalyst Consulting. My guest today is Jeanine Wilson. She is a Squarespace website designer and helps coaches and female service-based entrepreneurs by designing Squarespace websites that are beautiful, powerful, and easy to use. And how did we connect? I think, were we in like a mutual Facebook group, podcast group or something?
Yeah, I think we're actually in a couple of the same Facebook groups.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I think we connected and then I was like, hey, also, do you want to be on my podcast from a different group? So it's still a small world, even virtually speaking. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on, Kristen. It's great to be here.
You bet. You're in South America, right? Right now?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm in Medellin in Colombia. My husband and I have been here for this is actually our last week in Medellin, and then we're going to do some travel around Colombia next week, and then we're moving on to Ecuador.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. I haven't done a whole lot in South America. I had a friend that lived in Ecuador, actually. Quito? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was in Quito. Yep.
That's in Ecuador.
Yeah, geography is a whole nother. That's not, I get confused unless I've actually been there. Our brains all just do different things. So
I'm exactly the
same. Yeah. Yep. So tell us a little bit about you as a human being. Where are you from? What are your hobbies? All that good stuff.
Sure. So I've got a bit of a confusing accent because I'm originally from California. I grew up and went to university there, and then I moved to London and lived there for many years. So my accent took on a bit of a British twang. And I have an Irish husband as well. So that just kind of adds to the mix. So yeah, I was an expat living in the UK for about 8.5 years. And just recently, about a couple of months ago, my husband and I left London and we started doing the digital nomad thing. So yeah, goes without saying that I really love traveling. That's something that I have always been trying to do more of, and especially now that things are pretty much back to normal with COVID and everything else. I'm kind of just taking this opportunity to see as much of the world as I can. And whether I'm traveling or whether I'm at home, I really love being out in nature. I love going for, walks through the forest or by the coast, just to kind of clear my mind a little bit. Love learning as well. I'm taking some Spanish lessons at the moment just to kind of, brush up on my language skills while I'm here.
Very nice. Yeah, digital nomad is definitely or at least the ability to long travel, I call it. Because I nomaded a little bit like in my early 30s for about a year, and I realized that I liked having a home base, but I also really like the experience of being able to really be somewhere for a while and kind of get to know like the culture and how things work and all that kind of stuff. So I'd like to be able to do that again in the future for sure. So good for you.
Thank you.
What's a fun fact about you? What's a random something that maybe not everybody knows?
Sure. So I'm really into avocados. I'll put them on pretty much anything, and my husband's always making fun of me for it. But yeah, that's just probably one of my all-time favorite foods. I'm kind of always looking out for the best ones. So like when I go to the supermarket, I like have the eye to get the best ones there. So yeah, that's my fun fact. I'm a bit of a fiend for the avocados.
Avocado obsession. I love avocados, but I can never pick them myself. So what's a trick that you use to find a good avocado?
Yeah. So if you can, like the little like kind of nub that's like on top of it, if you can like take that off, then that means it's like it's like prime ripeness. So if you want to find a ripe one, see if you can take that little nub off the top.
Oh, okay. It's good to know. I'm going to go buy an avocado later then, because it's like the worst thing. It's a depressing avocado, I'm like, man, because they're so good. I don't know how people do it. So, what do you do on the work side of things? How do you provide support for business owners and entrepreneurs?
Sure. So I'm a Squarespace website designer. So I'm super passionate about crafting a website for my clients that is not only going to look beautiful, but it's actually going to help move the needle forward in their business. So it's really supporting whatever they want to achieve with the website. There's a clear purpose and intention behind everything that goes on the site. So it's not just, it's not just sitting there, it's actually being used as a tool in their business.
That's super important. I think I was just talking to somebody about that the other day about the psychology and strategy behind website design, and that it's not just like, I mean, it's got to look good too, obviously, but yeah, the psychology and strategy that goes into how to move people around and get them to do what you want to do and go where they want or where you want them to go is a lot. So how did you end up doing that? What's kind of your background? What led you to doing website design?
Sure. So it was a very non-linear journey. I started off actually like way back in the day doing a little bit of travel blogging. This is when I was still in my 9 to 5 job, and I was doing recruitment. So something, yeah, not technical at all. But I had this experience travel blogging, and my website was on Squarespace, and I found Squarespace very intuitive and easy to use. But I noticed from different Facebook groups I was in with other bloggers or entrepreneurs that they weren't really quite having the same experience. So that's how I discovered that if this is something that comes quite naturally to me, then I can set up these websites in such a way that people are there is going to be beneficial for their business, and also give them some training at the end of the project on how to maintain and update the website themselves so they feel confident using it going forward.
That's great. I think it's super important. I love the non-linear. That happens a lot, I think, in entrepreneurship too, is like you start doing a thing and then you see a need for something that you wouldn't have come across without doing what you were doing in the first place. So that's really cool. Plus it gives you the ability to work from anywhere. So that's an extra bonus, right?
Yeah.
As long as you have
Yeah,
internet anyway.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think entrepreneurship is kind of all about, being nimble and flexible and kind of seeing how you can help, for sure.
hmm Hey, thanks for listening so far. I hope you've been enjoying this episode of Building Better Businesses. I just wanted to stop and share about our Business Foundations course that is now live on the Catalyst Consulting website. This course goes over Business Planning 101, so it goes over a template for business planning as well as setting up your foundational habits and practices as a business owner. So we'll talk through some time management strategy, defining your version of success, and then also wrap up your business plan for you. If you want to check it out, hop over to bit.ly/pillar1. That's bit.ly/pillar-1. That link will be available for you in the show notes as well. What are the top 3 things that you think all entrepreneurs or business owners need to know about what you do and how it applies to them?
So I think maybe probably the biggest thing is that, Instagram or social media, while, that is really great for attracting a new audience or developing a relationship with your audience, it's never going to be a replacement for a website, because on a website, you're in full control of the narrative. Like, as you said, you get to take someone on a journey through the different pieces of information on that site. Whereas on social media, you're constantly adding new content. So the narrative is always changing and information is always being deprioritized. So that's the first thing. Yeah, social media is not a replacement for your website. And second thing, because I do get this a lot, that, someone just wants a, quote unquote, simple website, but there actually is no such thing as a simple website. Even the websites that seem like, okay, yeah, they're simple and straightforward, those are often the ones that have to have the most thought and strategy and intention to go into the design of things, to make them simple for the website visitor and quite easy to use. And the third thing that I want to share is that when you have a website that is, professionally designed, your website isn't going to look or function like anyone else's, because that website is going to be completely based off your unique business and your goals. So, I always say that no 2 websites are ever going to look or function the same, because no 2 businesses are the same. So I think that is, an advantage of taking the time to get really clear on what the purpose of your business, purpose of your website is, and then, baking that into your overall business strategy, instead of just, maybe looking at what everybody else is doing and trying to maybe imitate them, because what works for them might not necessarily work for you and your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's super important too that the like social media is not a replacement for the website. That comes up a lot in conversation with clients and just like networking with people. I describe it as like your website is the hub of everything that you're doing, and you want to be trying to drive everyone to the hub of your business as though it was like a brick and mortar, like treating your website like it's basically a building they could go into, because of all of the changes with algorithms and the inability to control the content and who sees it and when they see it and if they ever see it. Because I mean, as we know, most people don't actually see your content. So yeah, I think that's super huge. And then having the strategy behind it to get people to do what you want. I think it's a good point too when you're talking about the intention. Like, what are you trying to do with the website? Do you want people to buy from you? Do you want people to just learn more about you? Do you want them to download your stuff? Do you want them to sign up for your email list? There's so many different things that can happen that I think it's important to keep in mind too. So that's very cool. How did you did you just kind of learn as you went? Because you said you had your own and then had just like picking things up as you go and YouTube, and how did you pick up all your info?
Sure. Yeah. So I learned a bit from having that travel blog. And then since then, I've done a few courses, some on like website design more generally, some on coding, and then one really hefty one on like Squarespace website design in particular. And then from there, it was just kind of a case of a rinse and repeat. And, you know, as I took on more and more projects, and I always ask my clients, you know, for inspiration websites. So, you know, anything that they would maybe any different features of different websites, and they would think, oh yeah, that looks cool. Maybe could we have something similar on my site? That's kind of also helped me learn a lot, because I've kind of seen things as like, oh yeah, it's like a little bit of a challenge. Can I like add this to my toolbox of being able to do this like specific design or like feature that's similar to this other site?
No, that makes sense. I know a lot of us entrepreneur service providers in particular, kind of learn as we go or like figure things out. And like you said, like test and try things. And it's like somebody asks you for something, you're like, maybe, I don't know. Let's see. I think I can probably figure out how to do that. So now I know how to do something else. Like you said, just add it to your toolbox. One of my good friends is he does like brand identity design, and that's basically how he's done it too. He's just like, I just figure things out. I see things that I like and I want to see if I can figure out how to do that. And then I do it. So I think it's one of the fun
Nice.
things though, too, is always being able to learn something new and do the things that you're good at the same time. So hey, thanks for listening so far. I just wanted to stop and share one of my go-to social media scheduling resources, Cinch Share, which is one of the hardest things in the world to say, I'm pretty sure. But cinchshare.com is one of my go-tos. I use it off and on pretty consistently, and it's one that I recommend and have used with clients before as well. It's simple, it's easy to set up. You can schedule LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and you can actually also direct publish to Instagram, which is beneficial too. Lots of schedulers don't let you do that. Plus, you can schedule content for your personal Facebook page as well as any Facebook groups that you're an admin of. So it's a great place to be able to manage multiple social media platforms all in one place and get your content out there scheduled consistently. If you use my link to join Cinch Share, you get an additional 2-week trial. So you get 30 days total for free to try it out and see if you like it. The link for that is bit.ly/catalyst_cinch. And I will drop the link for that in the show notes as well. But it's a great social media scheduling resource that I recommend you try out. So particularly with website designers and I guess developers kind of too, but how it's so saturated and lots of people say that they're website designers, they can build you a pretty website, all that kind of stuff. How do people know I guess, what are some questions that people can ask if they're looking for help with their website to make sure that they're getting what they actually need from the person that they're talking to about it?
Yeah, so you know, definitely finding out the website designer's process is key. And you really want to make sure that, you know, during their design process, they're first going to ask you, you know, what are your goals with the website? What do you want to achieve with it? Because that's going to, you know, underpin the entire design of the whole website. So you want to make sure, you know, they're not just going to build you something that looks pretty. It's going to have that strategy behind it as well. Another thing I would definitely find out, because you know the website copy, so the text on the website is such a big part of the website too, that you know when you are speaking to a website designer, find out if they, either have some resources you can use to help you with the copy, or maybe they have a copywriter they can partner with. I know for myself, I have these like fill in the blank copywriting templates that, some of them are like fill in the blank style, some of them are more prompts, just to help my clients write the copy too, as well as part of that. The other thing you would definitely want to, find out with them is, is it going to be collaborative, like a collaborative effort on the website, and what's kind of the overall like timeline of the different phases for the site. So do you get to see the site like as it's being built, for example, or do you just get to see it at the end? And what's like, and when you do get to see it, when it's then the first version is complete, do you get some revisions to the project? If you do want them to go back and make any changes with anything, and you definitely want to find out the timeline as well. How long you can expect the whole process to take. For myself, I work with just one client at a time. So, they have my full, undivided attention on their project when we work together. But I know, for some other designers, they might take on, a few clients at a time, and then they just kind of give you a rough timeline of when the project will actually be finished. Like it could be 6 weeks, it could be 8 weeks, for example. And the reason why I mentioned that, collaborative effort, I think is, so important personally, because, you do want to make sure if you are making that investment that you can, see the website as it's being built, and that you do have the opportunity to give your honest feedback as well. I personally always build my clients' homepage first, and I get their feedback on that. And then I build out the rest of those pages once I have their feedback, and kind of, go back and make any changes as needed. So that way, when they see the first version of the website, before we even do any revisions, they've already kind of, get a sense of how the website's turning out, which is really important. It's really helpful for me because, I get to see if I'm on the right track with what I'm designing, and it gives them peace of mind too.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I think the copywriting is super important that you mentioned that, because a lot of people, at least in my experience, most of the web designers that I know don't do copywriting because it's like a whole different skill set, and it's hard. It's one of the hardest things. It's one of the least favorite things that I have to do when it comes to my business. So yeah, finding out how that looks, and like you having resources and templates, I think is super helpful, because a lot of people don't. They're just like, what do you want to put on the homepage? And you're like, I don't know. Like, you're telling me I need to like write a whole homepage worth of stuff. I don't know. So I think that's an important piece, because it should be, otherwise, like, and that's like the other half of the website basically, is the copy that's on it is also what helps drive the results that you're looking for. So making that a part of the consideration when someone wants to work with a website designer, I think is huge, because a lot of people don't realize that that's separate. Like they think that a website designer does all the things. So, I mean, if you like writing copy, then good for you, but it's not great. So, what, as an entrepreneur and business owner yourself, what advice would you give fellow business owners when it comes to running their businesses?
So I think that for me, especially like if you're, someone who's maybe like it's a little bit early days, I think customization is really important in your business and your different offers, and just really listening to, what the market's telling you, and kind of being able to be nimble off of that. I think that is really like the whole essence of being an entrepreneur. And I think that for myself personally, even though it was something I kind of knew even before I started my business, it really took me some time to really get on board with that. Because, at first I was just, had my like offers, and I was kind of like, okay, this is my like website offer for a full website, but I actually help my clients with, a lot of different things, not just a full brand new website. Sometimes they need help with an existing website, sometimes they just want the homepage redesigned, or they need some help with the more like technical things like SEO as well. So, just kind of really listening to your potential clients and thinking, how you can be of service, I think is really important, because I think especially, if you're coming from a corporate background, we're so used to just doing, the same thing day in and day out, and it doesn't really vary. And if you, want to change something, it's not really in your power to do so. So I think it takes time to really, shift your mindset and think, okay, actually, like I really could do anything here that's within my skill set, obviously, but sometimes it's just a matter of like almost getting that ego out of the way and being a bit more flexible and nimble with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's important. Like a lot of people, try to like create like there's only like 2 or 3 things that they do, and I think that that's like sometimes the case that work, or like that works sometimes, but not in every case. And like I've fought that a lot. Like I had a coach that was like, you need to just offer 3 things or whatever, and I was like, I can't do that. Like the scope of what I do for people is very broad, because it's pretty much anything that has to do with a business, and like that kind of so I'm like, I can't have just like 3 things, like, but the ability to create kind of like what you were saying, like, here's the whole thing that I do. And then being able to take pieces of that. I think having the full meal deal makes it easier for entrepreneurs to break out the pieces and go, okay, this is how much I charge for this stuff, or this is how much time these things take. And it helps you create the custom packages more efficiently and effectively, I think, as well. Because lots of us do bits and pieces and combinations of different things. And like, to your point, I agree, every client is different. I had 3 clients at the same time that I was helping hire for, and they all had very different needs as it related to hiring. So it was like, ultimately, I'm helping them all hire, but I'm also helping with like different pieces of the puzzle. And I can't make that into a like standard cookie cutter thing. So hey, thanks for listening so far. Just wanted to stop and tell you about Monday.com, which is one of my favorite task and project management systems to use. If you've been looking for a way to better coordinate your tasks and project management with your team members or with clients and customers, Monday.com is a great way to do that. You can set up individual boards for each client. You can share and collaborate across multiple boards with your team members, upload files and contracts and information that you want to keep handy, all kinds of stuff. So it's a great way to manage a lot of moving pieces and a lot of tasks across multiple different resources. The link for that is mondaycom.grsm.io/catalyst. And of course, the link will be in the show notes too, if you want to check it out later. Do you do other stuff too besides website? Like anything that's like adjacent? Do you do like social media, or do you do the copywriting stuff at all for people, or just focus on the...
I just focus on websites. I used to do, a bit of copywriting, bit of social media, but it was about, maybe about a year and a half ago now when I decided just to focus on the Squarespace website design side of things. And I found that, just being able to kind of niche down to that was really helpful, especially because that was when I was kind of first getting started as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like that's helpful that you have the additional like adjacent experience, because I think that's one of the things that a lot of people don't necessarily have. Like they just do websites, but then they don't have any experience with the other stuff, which I think helps you create a more like holistic and well-rounded strategy when you can speak to some of the other pieces and like how it's going to affect, your social media stuff, or like, here's how we connect all the dots. So I think it's super helpful for sure. What resources do you wish you'd had at the beginning of your entrepreneurship journey, or things that you wish you'd known back then?
I think one thing that I maybe would have done even sooner would have been working with a business coach kind of straight away. I did start working with one, pretty early on into my entrepreneur journey, kind of a year and a few months ago, but I think having that even from the very beginning would have been really key, or maybe even before I left my 9 to 5 job, because that was something that I kind of did like just cold turkey, which is it worked out, but it's definitely not for the faint of heart. So I think maybe even working with a coach to kind of really get clear on like, okay, what's our kind of plan going to be, like making that transition, having that support, I think right from the very beginning. I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice I could give someone who's a new entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great, because I think a lot of people talk about, probably half the guests on the show have talked about like the value of having a coach or a consultant or a mentor or something like that. But mentioning before you take the leap, that's actually a super smart way to kind of get ahead of the curve. Because I did the same thing as you. I was just like, I don't want to work in corporate life anymore, so I guess I'm going to start my own business and then let's see what happens. But in retrospect, maybe could have planned it out a little bit better, but that's I think a really smart idea to have a coach or somebody, or even like there's so many like advisor resources and stuff out there too, at least in the States, to be able to go talk to somebody before and be like, what are the things that I need to consider? Even a business banker, just be like, what are the things I need to think about before I take this leap so that I can be set up for success as much as possible before I go. So no, it's awesome. How can we best support you? What are you working on? I know you mentioned you have a freebie, right, for the listeners?
Yes, I do. So I have a free video training that is on 3 ways to attract ideal clients and free up more time through your website. So it's something that you can definitely benefit from no matter where you're at in your business journey. And I'm going to share some simple practical tips that you can implement straight away on your website to help support you, evoking more trust with your ideal clients on the site and helping you reach your goals sooner. So I think the link to that will be in the show notes for anybody who wants to watch.
Yep, the link for that will be in there. And then you have a website audit too, right?
Yes, I do. So, for anyone who is considering getting some help with their website, I do offer free website audits. They take about 20 minutes. And, I first like to ease into things. I'll first just chat a little bit about what you do in your business and what you want to achieve with your website and your overall business goals. I'll personally review your website before we get on the call, and then I'll give you 1 to 3 concrete changes that you can make to your website to help you achieve those goals. So you're going to walk away with those 3 tips. And if you don't have a website yet, I'll give you 3 fresh tips as well. And then if you feel like we'd be a good fit and that it can help you, then I might bring up the possibility of us working together. But as always, it is a no obligation conversation. It's simply for you to get some individual feedback on your website and how that can help you make progress towards your goals and to see if we'd be a good fit.
That's perfect. How do people find you? What social media, email, etc.?
Sure. So I'm most active on Instagram. You can find me there at J Wilson Digital Studio. And I also have my own website, and I have a blog as well that has many more tips on how to make the most of your website and how to work for your business. And that's at jwilsondigitalstudio.com.
Perfect. And of course, that will also be in the show notes too. So great. Anything else that you can think of before we wrap up and head off?
I don't think so. I think that is everything really. Yeah, I think we went over some really good points. Yeah, it's been really fun. So thank you so much for having me today.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for joining me.
Of course, anytime.
Thanks so much for listening today. This was a great episode, and I'm sure you will appreciate the tips and insights from today. If you want to connect further with our guests, you can find the contact information, social media links, etc., any of the freebies in the show notes from today's episode. Please show some love to our guests and follow, and subscribe their content if you connected with them. And also don't forget to follow, and subscribe Building Better Businesses with Catalyst Consulting. Also, if you drop a juicy review, that's always cool too.